At the risk of being sexist, I have to ask a question. Do women understand male franchises? And let me qualify this. There was a post that went viral here. I wanna bring it up. Pretty interesting post that got over 1.4 million views from Bill Holt. Says opinion: women killed Star Trek, women killed Star Wars, women killed the MCU, women killed the DCU, women killed Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, women killed James Bond, women killed Indiana Jones, women killed The Witcher, women killed Sandman, women killed Ghostbusters, women killed Terminator, women killed Alien, women killed Predator, women killed Men in Black, women killed Mad Max, women killed Monarch / Godzilla, women killed Charlie's Angels, and women and gays killed Doctor Who. Did I miss anything? 1.4 million views, 5,000 reposts. Does Bill Holt have a point?
He has a hell of a point.
Now I'll say this. Many incredibly talented women have been involved in Star Trek and Star Wars, most notably Marsha Lucas, who edited Star Wars, George's former wife, DC Fontana, writer on the original Star Trek series. But too much feminine energy in a male franchise, does it work? Is this radical to say? I really want to know, can women understand a male franchise?
They're not trying to.
They don't want to understand it. They want to take it over. I think, in my opinion, it's the modern woman feminist ideology that killed all of these franchises. The women who think that they are just as equal, if not better, than their male counterparts, that killed all of these franchises, because they take that ideology and that thinking and they try to put it into these franchises. They don't want a woman to be equal to Luke Skywalker. They want her to be better than Luke Skywalker. That is their thinking. That's why they killed all of these franchises, because they don't understand that hero's journey. They just want it a quick thing. They don't understand the struggle of that, the heroism that comes with that. They just want to be better. And so they'll take those characteristics, put it on this character, and make her better.
I think there's female directors who can do a decent job of writing an already established character, right? I think Bryce Dallas Howard, she directed some of the best episodes of The Mandalorian. I think that there are women that they're capable, man. I think this guy's right as far as you can't give him a franchise though, man. You can't give him these characters and say run with it, right?
That's the problem. It's who you're giving it to. Again, Witcher is the perfect test case because it's woman with an ideology behind her that didn't like the original source material, didn't like fans of the source material, went like Henry sitting there walking around with the books saying, what about this, and that? They completely did that. They took everything from Geralt focused to make it the Yennefer show and the series. And even though naturally those would have been strong, lovable characters that everyone likes, and Ciri would have taken over the story anyway, that's not enough. You got to go straight to fuck all the men and boom. And that's across the board. Most of these have that behind it. Instead of just letting Luke be Luke, you take it away from him and you just give it to Rey.
It's MCU. Dark Vengeance stole my point in the chat. It's about the agenda. It's agenda over the story. The story is what mattered to the people that created these franchises. They cared about the story. They cared about the characters. They cared about storytelling. They care about pushing their ideology, taking over, like Steph just said. They want to take over your franchise that's already popular, reshape it into something for the ladies, all right, or something for their, general feminist ideology. That's what it is that they're doing. They don't tell stories, all right? How many times do we see these stories? Like, this isn't a story. You're telling me a talking point of an agenda. All right. I don't want to hear your bullet points on what your what your ideology is. I want a story that has well-drawn characters, well-written action scenes, and all of that. They can't give that to us. That's what The Acolyte was. The Acolyte was one giant, just feminist, girl boss, lesbian like cry fest, on how oppressive everything has been in the Jedi Order, and that's basically what these creatives, I call them creatives with quotations, that's what they think that people want to watch, because that's what they want to watch. They want to watch stories that give them, give oxygen to their grief, and say, oh, how oppressed I am. And nobody.
Filoni's a feminist too, by the way, and his wife is a feminist. So that's why there's so much adjacent. So this really is agenda. Yeah. It's just that statistically speaking, a lot of them are the liberal women that all the things. They're the ones driving into traffic and obstructing federal officers too. It's just a common denominator of a possessed ideology. And if they're not protesting in the streets, they're protesting in the writers' room. It's a whole fucking thing.
But if there are good women that can write good stories. J.K. Rowling. All right, J.K. Rowling is a woman, and she knows how to tell a good damn
K-pop
story.
Demon Hunters was women.
Thank you. Yeah. So women can do it, but go ahead.
Well, Nia DaCosta didn't feminize 28 years later.
Yeah, The Witcher is a good example of that, because you had Henry Cavill, who knew the story, who knew the property well, who knew the character well, and he butted heads because they didn't want to make him that character, that strong masculine character. And so now we have Liam Hemsworth coming in, and now his portrayal is more sensitive, it's more vulnerable, it's more emotional. Why? Because that's how women view things. That's how women view characters, is from the point of view of emotion and vulnerability. These are women characteristics that can't be put on a man, because men just aren't like that. Sure, there are sensitive men, vulnerable men, but like heroic men, things like that, these types of characters that are already written a certain way, you just can't change them into this vulnerable, soft character.
Nobody this is coming from a sensitive man on screen.
Well, and it's coming from a group of people who say that gender is a construct, right? So their entire motive is to just be like, everything that you believe about all of this is just bullshit, and what I believe is right. But either way, all of these studios, all of these companies that own all of these properties, you would think that like the intelligent thing to do would be to bring in people that are like, I have a vision and a passion, but also I know what the fans want and I know what this franchise or this brand is, right? But instead they're hiring people that are like, no, we're going to like start from scratch. We're going to completely turn it on its head and make it something entirely new. And it just does. I don't understand why these property owners, like, Disney or whoever that owns Marvel and everybody else, that it would continue to just hire people who are on the basis of saying, like, I'm going to assassinate your brand, by the way. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I think it's because they thought that in the future it'll be more profitable, and eventually it'll become profitable. Eventually the audience that we want will come, right? That's why it was based on an eventuality that we're doing the right thing, we're going in the right direction, this is really what people want, and eventually it'll become profitable. When in reality, like even now, I think the Disney park Galaxy's Edge, which was based on the sequel trilogy, is now bringing in characters from the original trilogy and finally putting in John Williams music. Yeah. Like that's how it should have been. But they were just like, no. Eventually the people will like it. People will get on board. And that just didn't happen. So what are they doing?
That's across the board, right? That's not just Star Wars. That's with all the woke shit. For 10 years, we got all the woke supplied by all the BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguards that like, no, we know you're going to lose money. And everyone that doesn't get on board is toxic and racist and sexist. You saw that we still see it, but it doesn't work. They thought they could like subsidize them through the tanking and that we would eventually get on board with the plan, but we're not, because there's just certain things that are in. If you wiped out civilization right now and we all regrew back and started getting cars again, a lot of the dumb things we argue about would go away, but there's some core things that would always be there. There's a difference between men and women. All right. The racism shit is dumb in the construct, but there will always be gender differences. And so when you try to say that it's just it's not real and there's no difference between that, it falls apart. So now you got the youth that apparently have all conservative values and they're not into all the LGBTQ because you just no amount. You need to go back to making money. You were never going to be able to force that big a change on society.
I think part of it is that there are maybe too many women in the writer's room. You need a balance. And when they talk about boys and girls playing with toys, let me just say this. I raised a boy and a girl. My kids were born about 2 years apart. I had a girl and a boy. I can just tell you, they're very different as kids. They are very different and they like different toys. They like different things. The only thing I would say that's sort of gender neutral might be dinosaurs. That's the only thing. Like dinosaurs appeal to boys and girls. But the way that they say that boys and girls play with toys. Boys want to be, say, Batman. A boy wants to be Batman or be Superman. And a girl wants to turn Superman into her.
Yeah.
So that's why you get like all these there's so many cases of a male comic book hero that suddenly has a female version, like a Supergirl or a Batgirl or a Shazam family, Captain Marvel family, whatever, but never the other direction. Never the direction of
they can be done well.
What?
Like those characters that you just said, She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a perfect example. She's fun in the fucking comics.
Yeah,
she's super fun.
One of my favorite characters,
right?
Man.
And Supergirl can be written well. They can be done well. But then when you get someone like Jessica Gao, who specifically made She-Hulk to dunk on the toxic white males and made it a whole meta thing, right? It's all just attack. They like it because we don't like it, as was said earlier.
Agenda
over
ideology.
It's all that's what woke is. Agenda over story and character. So yeah.